Today, we are going to talk about movements that can occur in geometry. There are three distinct movements that can occur to a geometric shape. Shapes can move through a translation, a reflection, or even a rotation. Chapter 1. Translations. The first movement on deck today is called a translation. A translation is a fancy word that we use in math to say that an object has moved or has been slid. The cool thing about a translation is that it can occur in any direction, just as long as the geometric shape hasn't been changed or altered during the translation, which means, class, that it can slide anywhere just as long as it's the same shape when it finally stops sliding. Let's see a translation in action. Now bear in mind, students, that I'm doing the movement, so it won't be as precise as what it would be if the translation was created on your paper. The object, when you move it, doesn't change. So all you see here is the DVD, and it won't ever become something else, because all you're really doing is moving it. You can see the first object, the DVD, slides, or a translation occurs, and it covers up the other DVD. Chapter 2. Reflections. The next type of movement on deck is the reflection. Reflections are a common everyday occurrence. When you're strolling through the park, you can't help but notice the reflection in the pond. When you're getting ready for the day and you're looking in the mirror, there you go, another reflection. In this picture of a mountain next to a pond, you can see a reflection of what? The mountain. Here's that same picture with a polygon laid on top of the peak of the mountain to point out several important features of a reflection. As you can see, there's a line drawn across the middle of the picture. That line, in fact, is our line of symmetry. You can also take note that both of the peaks are the exact same distance away from each other. They are also, as you can see, mirror images of one another, meaning that the only thing about the shape that has changed is that it has been flipped, or it appears to have been flipped. Here's a model that I've created to show you the actions involved in a reflection. The top triangle has to, in fact, flip to move and to be exactly symmetrical with the second or bottom triangle. When looking at the shape that has been moved, it is best to consider what actions took place to get the shape in that position. It is clear that in this image, the top triangle would have been flipped to get it to land exactly on top of the other triangle. Let's see a reflection in action. Bear in mind, students, that I will again be reflecting the object to show you a reflection in action, and that it may not travel on a direct plane like it should, because I will be the one moving the DVDs. As you can see, the objects, or DVDs, are the same size, and all that occurs is that I have flipped one of the DVDs so that it is laying and staying on top of the other one. You can also notice as we take a look at it again, how the first DVD goes from having the back of the movie shown to having the cover showing, just like the movie it landed on. Let's see that again, just so you can pay attention to the movement that the DVDs are taking. Did you get it? Are there any questions? Chapter 3. Rotations. The last leg of our journey takes us to the movement simply known as rotations. Have you ever had to rotate something? The most common type of rotation that occurs in a classroom is when you rotate or turn and talk to your neighbor. Rotations also occur in geometry. They look a little something like the picture shown. The objects are the same size, and the only difference there is that can be seen is that the object has been rotated. All rotations, whether in geometry or in real life, occur on a single point. You can see the point highlighted in the same picture. The red dot is that point. Now students, let's see this rotation in action. Bear in mind, again, students, I will be moving the object, so the movement won't be as smooth or even appear like it's rotating on a point, because I will be the one doing the rotation. This just gives us a mental picture of what a rotation would look like in action. As you can see, the DVD is rotated from its starting position to its final spot on top of the other DVD. Had I not been involved in the rotation, the DVD would have rotated on a point to fit snugly on top of the DVD. Let's watch this action one more time to get a real feel for what the rotation looks like. Do you get it? Any questions? Chapter 4. The Review. Today, we have covered 3 distinct movements in geometry. The first was the translation, or slide movement, that slides the object or shape. You can see it here. The shape is slid, or does what is known as a translation, to move. The second movement is called the reflection. That is where you see the shape flipping in order to create a reflection. You can see it here. And the last movement is called a rotation. The shape rotates or turns on a given point to move it. And yes, you can see it here. I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure.